Hey everyone, and welcome back to Question Everything, where we question everything. Now, today we're going to be wrapping up this entire series for Season 1 and addressing the main problem of society, and that would be white supremacy, why we can't agree that humans deserve basic rights.
Question everything, question everything, question everything, question everything. Why?
Now, we as human beings are inherently equal. We are all, at a base level, the same. And we all deserve the same basic level of human decency and respect, right? Now, the problem is, when people don't understand certain things, that makes them uncomfortable or afraid, right? That's a natural primal fear. So what makes you feel afraid or unsafe? A snake or spider crossing your path? Rising gun violence? Disrespecting boundaries, homelessness, climate change, abusive behaviors, tainted drugs, etc. These are all rooted in the primal instinct of fear, and are processed through the limbic system in our brains. The amygdala, the part responsible for the fear response, detects and evaluates the proper response to a fearful or threatening stimulus. This is true for real and perceived experiences, and the way our senses perceive our environment is updated through our hippocampus. Connections to memory and the senses form in the hippocampus, which is why some, for example, might associate the smell of pumpkin spice with autumn. Our past experiences may also form unconscious biases by making those connections and then prematurely judging the situation, even if no threat exists. Essentially, learning more about why we react the way we do could decrease the strength of our fear response, so we can more appropriately and effectively deal with situations. How we deal with stress and anxiety. Why do we feel these at all? Where does it originate? And how can we manage it? As mentioned, the amygdala is responsible for emotional regulation and key in memory development around fear. On top of that, it's also responsible for reward processing and decision making, when paired with the hippocampus, which is the active role in learning. It is evident that what we learn in our developmental years can have profound effects on the way that we perceive and deal with the world. Rational thought in the frontal lobe is turned off when these emotions are active. Furthermore, regulating and processing your thoughts in a mindful way can help you be more aware of these cognitive distortions. Developing this skill can be learned and is a key component in CBT, or cognitive behavioral therapy. Mindfulness meditation. 80% of our thoughts are negative, so being mindful of the lies that we might tell ourselves would be beneficial. We are most of the time blissfully unaware of most of these thoughts, but they still affect our reality and the way we do things. You can stop yourself from fully experiencing life by letting cognitive distortions limit what you think you can do. Try to focus on the present moment and get in touch with your body, instead of thinking about the mistakes you've made or might make. The practice of mindful meditation over the course of a lifetime can improve the overall quality by being in tune with your body and mind. It's similar to debugging a bit of code that isn't working and changing it so that you're functioning properly. Ironically, I had that thought while meditating. Living in fear versus common sense. Dehumanizing what you don't understand when the capacity to learn more exists creates a cruel and toxic environment. Any kind of minority group can be the target of this lack of empathy, because that's what empathy is, understanding, which you gain by learning. We are all humans with emotions, and if we don't look after our own feelings empathetically, how could we expect to do the same for others? Hello, kitty. We don't need to constantly live in fear if we have a basic knowledge and understanding of the world. However, noting the fact that the majority of Americans have restricted access to their needs due to the scarcity mindset of capitalism, it puts learning on the back burner and pushes for individualism instead of collectivism. So me instead of we. This is how prejudice can be so commonplace. Do you deserve basic rights? The answer may surprise you. Victim blaming in a broken system. Criminalizing homelessness or treating people who are struggling to provide their basic needs comes from a lack of understanding why they are in that situation in the first place. There are so many factors that contribute to homelessness that you can't automatically assume all homeless people are lazy and don't want to put in the work or effort. Doing your best with the tools that you're given and then being told that you don't deserve to be accommodated or ashamed for seeking help via benefits, which are there for a reason, doesn't hold the people responsible accountable. So who's really at fault? Who's really failed at holding their end of the bargain? The government. Their job is effectively providing leadership, maintaining order, providing public services, providing national security, providing economic security, and providing economic assistance. Reevaluating and analyzing the actions of America and its many complex systems, it can be made clear that it isn't helping to create sustainability for its citizens, and instead trying to create infinite growth for capitalists by means of exploitation for the sake of greed, which to some is considered a sin. The education system is failing, or has failed, past tense technically. Curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. We hear idioms like this all the time. However, fewer people are aware of this second part for most of them. In the Inquisition for knowledge, one must prepare for the possibility of being wrong or not knowing the answer. This is the first part of the idiom above, And the subsequent message explains that finding truth is worth that discomfort or death of self. Basically, cognitive dissonance may occur when learning new information about reality. Note, anti-critical thinking is very telling with its blatant messaging that they don't want you thinking for yourself. Wouldn't you rather decide what's best for you and not the government or someone else? How versus what? How we teach is significantly more important because of the varying levels of comprehension in children and adults alike. You could explain quantum physics to a 7-year-old as long as you use familiar terms, utilize analogies for simplification, and don't over-explain or focus on the details. Teaching this way allows the student to choose whether or not they want to continue more later. Once you have the teaching down, you can focus on the lesson plan. Removing or simply not adding teachings that statistically improve society is mind-boggling when you know that diversity enhances critical thinking and decreases room for bigotry. Increases love for acceptance, empathy, and understanding, things that we need right now. Why would knowledge be made illegal or inaccessible to the public? The answer is to hinder the benefits of thinking for yourself. Knowledge is power, so trying to obscure it by hiding behind laws means that our power is being taken from us, our discretion. Don't question authority, ever heard that? Just listen. Have you ever been scolded for asking questions or felt shame for wanting clarification? This happens when people in power or authority figures in our life only care about blind faith, obedience, and control. You're not allowed to question them because their power or knowledge is absolute, unwavering. They know what's best for you. This is a toxic way of leadership and has many negative impacts on its targets. Anxiety surrounds its generational trauma for everyone, which is why it's so hard to stop in its tracks. Even with the younger generations being more open to the idea of speaking up about mental health and seeking out help, the main issue stopping this from happening is stigma and lack of access to healthcare. So if you aren't given all of the information by learning, and you're being told what's best for you rather than making your own decisions, what is that called? Indoctrination. Because the definition of indoctrination is the process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. If you can't ask questions for further perspective, you can't make a well-informed decision. Point blank period. This is how so many people can be blatantly ignorant of reality, science, and facts. Observation and experimentation are critical for creating a solid foundation for a belief system under the scientific method. One of the most prevalent examples seen in the objectives of organized religions, like Christianity, is clear from their fear-mongering, disregard for facts, and fear of equality. Upholding white supremacist views like the patriarchy, racism, and injecting their beliefs into public school systems is the goal of corporate America. If you want to send your child to a private Christian school, then by all means. However, trying to mandate not teaching a complete and well-rounded curriculum in public school is immoral. I'm not going to go into detail or explain this, but if you want to pause and look it over, it makes sense when you view it logically. Now, political dichotomy, right? We have people who are aware of reality and science and facts, and people who are blatantly ignorant and stick their head in the sand because they want to hold on to their beliefs. This is vaguely reminiscent of cognitive dissonance. If someone wanted to stay in power, how might they distract the public from rising against their authoritarian rule? Turn them against each other to distract them from the truth, which is that they're all puppets. Due to the intrinsic nature of humans and their ability to experience empathy, creating a society that denies reality cripples those with empathy and follow objective truth. We have people arguing over whether or not certain humans deserve rights and should have their basic needs met. This comes from a place of prejudice and seeing another group of humans as inferior and therefore shouldn't be allowed the same opportunities. Imagine for one moment that you are that person. Someone deciding that simply due to their feelings or beliefs that you don't deserve to get rights. How would that make you feel? Sad, upset, frustrated, scared? It's incredible what a little bit of thinking and empathy can do in situations like this. Sadly, this is what the minorities face from the majority basically all the time. We are all humans who have needs that need to be met. We are all humans who have needs that need to be met in order to ensure the survival of our future. However, this is not the reality we live in. Universal healthcare is vital. Not only is it a human right, but without it, our most important need for safety and survival is inaccessible. Okay, we're about to get a little political, even though this really shouldn't be political because it's kind of straightforward. Having access to free healthcare presents itself with a lot of pros and cons. However, it is noteworthy that a lot of the positives address pro-life concerns. Preventative care, decreased death rate, accessibility, less infant mortality, bankruptcy and medical debt is out of the way, affording other needs, long-term solutions. That sounds like a plus. A lot of pluses, actually. It appears that the cons for this are in regarding to what the government can afford to provide. Upfront costs and logistical challenges. This is a problem that we can fix with intrinsically based systems. This can be done by restricting the flow of burnout culture and giving ourselves a break and boundaries. Again, you can't have empathy without boundaries. And preventing danger in a hazardous environment, because this is not a safe country to be in. Like, I'm sorry, but have you seen all of the school shootings that happen? Or just in general, all the violence? Yeah, so resource-based economy, egalitarian, sustainability. Free education is beneficial, clearly. And it can easily be accessible. Suppose the main problem with healthcare is supply of doctors, nurses, and buildings, right? How might we address or solve that so we can meet demand? Allowing an equal opportunity for the new generation to become what they want can help fill those career positions and help them to come up with new solutions to these age-old problems. We live in a digital age, and it's long overdue for a complete education reform. Teachers are overlooked, underpaid, and underappreciated. We have all of this information readily at our fingertips, and digitizing things like textbooks and making classes available to the public would exponentially increase critical thinking skills globally, and can be done via YouTube, online, internet, you know. We have access to all of these things and it can be free, yet we choose not to. Oh wait, capitalism, money, right, so paywall around education. It's incredibly cruel in classes to make students pay for their education and force them onto lifelong debt, even with the help of scholarships, grants, etc. It's also contradictory to the improvement of society, because again, if education was free and accessible, we would have more doctors, we would have more people out there to help us heal. How else would we pay for education then? This is a question that many might have when hearing about free education, and allow me to provide a solution. Reallocate military funding. That money could be better spent on creating sustainability and long-term structure. Look at this. Look at this graph. Look at this graph. It literally says that America spends $801 billion, which is more than the next 9 countries combined. I'm sorry, but I don't think we need that much going towards that. We could fix the roads, we could fix education, which again, actually, you know what? Next slide. Learning is the product of teaching. However, it's not about how much money we put into schools, because America puts far more money into it than other countries, and it's still suffering. Why is that? The dropout rate and negative impact the current school system has is directly linked to the lack of adherence to the 3 key pillars of learning, which are diversity, curiosity, and creativity. These are what spark authentic learning and development for the passion of learning. The funneling of information and simply passing down a carefully curated packet of knowledge is not how to go about teaching. No proper teaching can occur if there is no real learning happening. Inclusive and comprehensive education, one of the greatest tools we have. In fact, Nelson Mandela said education is the most powerful weapon it can be used to change the world, which is true. Why focus on education? If I haven't made it abundantly clear this entire video, a population that is better educated has less unemployment, reduced dependence on public access programs, and greater tax revenue. Education also plays a key role in the reduction of crime, improved public health, and greater political and civic engagement. How does this all connect to white supremacy though? Well, when I started making this video, you can see how difficult it would have been to follow this. So here we are, slideshow presentation instead. But like, if you were to get rid of all that, poof, everything else goes with it. I wish I could like edit that in, but that'd be fun, you know? In the simplest terms, white supremacy is so interconnected and woven into the fabric of this country that trying to dismantle it would undo the very foundations of society. And there's no single answer to solve these problems. I'm going to leave off here with a thread, because if you yank hard enough, you can unravel the whole tapestry. So focus on your mind and body, remember that everyone has needs, and take time to see what you can do to help. We're not fundamentally changing society, but instead creating space for empathy, and cultivating the right foundations for our human connections, which will spread like wildfire in the right conditions. We are one human race and incredibly social creatures. So respect the connections you make and be mindful of those destructive behaviors. Express more love and empathy, and don't project hate onto yourself and others, and then lives will improve. So, learn. Learn, that's all I ask. Learn, go out, read a book, do some research on Google, and make sure that you're actually using reliable sources. But that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, and if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know down below. And if you're new, you can click subscribe by clicking down here, or check out some of my other videos over here. We've got a playlist of Season 1. If you've already watched it, thank you. I appreciate your support for this channel. And I will be working on Season 2, but it's going to be a lot similar to this video just because it's a lot easier. And that's all, so have a fan-freaking-tastic day. And don't forget to question everything and learn.